Hello and welcome to Learning Excel 2016. My name is Mike Henry and this is the second video from Chapter 2. In this video we're going to take a look at the key thing of this video is going to be relative references. I want to make sure you understand that concept of relative reference and what that means, especially because later on in the next chapter we're going to learn about the opposite of a relative reference. We're going to do this looking at some math formulas and functions. And we're going to do this also by switching into formula mode and being able to see how things change relatively to where you are. I'm going to move us from the documentation page to a sheet that you don't have in yours if you downloaded this off the website. This is just a quick sheet to show you guys a concept that I think is very, very important for you to understand. And this is the concept of relative reference. Now right now I have some numbers in a column here, and all I'm going to do is add the number 1 to each of those numbers. So if I put a formula right here that says take A1, that's what's in A1, and I add the number 1 to it. Simple, straightforward formula, and I could do that formula over and over and over again to get A2, A3, A4. But instead, I would rather use a copy and paste. It's the same formula all the way down. And you'll notice that I'm going to take this formula and I'm going to do a simple copy, and I'm going to highlight here and do a simple paste. And you can see my copy is still running around there. So to get rid of my copy I hit escape. So what we did was a simple copy paste, and if you look, it's working. 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4, and it works straight down. And here's why it works. If we look at the formula here, you can see it was A1 plus 1. If you look at the formula here, it's now A2. Now I'm going to put this into what we call formula mode so we can see all the formulas at once. The way to put it into formula mode is to use Control and tilde. Tilde is that squiggly key that you can find right above your tab key. So now that I'm in formula mode, you can see whenever I click on a formula, I can see the cell that's being used in that formula. Now here you can see it went from A1 to A2 to A3 to A4. Now as I changed that formula down or copied that formula down, what we see is it changes, and this is relative to the row it was in. So because it was in this row, it changed to a 2. Because it moved down again, it changed to a 3. This is a relative reference. It changes relative to where I am on the spreadsheet. Now, in formula mode, I can get out of formula mode by simply doing a Control tilde. And you can see I'm out of formula mode and I'm looking at results. So I've got another set of numbers here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the number above and I'm going to just add the number 1 to it. So in this case, D1 plus 1. Now I'm going to put this into formula mode so we can actually see we have the formula right here below, and I'm going to use a concept. Instead of copy and paste, I'm going to use what we do is called autofill. I take my formula here, I put my pointer right there on the little dot, I get a target symbol, and I click down, and I drag as I'm holding this click down. And you can see it goes and it moves this formula. So it moved from D to E, E to F. So what you want to really understand here is relative reference goes both up and down, like we saw here in the column, going up and down, and it goes side to side, as we can see D to E to F. So relative reference goes either way. I can get out of formula mode again with a Control tilde, and you can see that those numbers added across. If I put another number here, let's do 15, you can see that that is working here. By the way, that autofill option, as you can see, I just deleted that, doesn't happen just in formula mode. I could do it here. Again, I get my target symbol, I click down, and I drag it across, and you can see that works both in the methodology of this mode, the number mode, or in formula mode. Now I'm going to take you back to the sales report. This is a sheet that you do have if you downloaded the file. And we're just going to do a couple of quick math formulas in here. Now these math formulas are going to give us some sales statistics here. We're going to do this based on these numbers down here. Now you can see we've got the monthly gross sales. They go from January, and it does go all the way over here to December. And you can see we've got a ton of stores as we come down for the western region. And again, it goes all the way over. I want you to notice this cell right here. This is N46. We're going to use that number here in a second. Now, I want to add up all the gross sales. Now, I could do that with the really hard way, do an equal, and then come down here and do C27, and then do a plus, and C28, and then C29, and get them all in that way. And that would take forever. And if I did do that, there's a good chance I might make a mistake and miss a cell. Now you could do the auto sum thing, but that gets really cumbersome when you're dealing with a sheet that's all over the place and not in just one screen. So to make this easy, sometimes you just type in the formula. You can see here I'm going to type in the formula equal, and I'm going to use a function sum. That function is going to let me add a whole range of cells. I put my opening quotation, parenthesis right there, and then I type in here C27, and I put my colon, and then I say go all the way to cell N46, that one that we were talking about, and I close my parenthesis. Now I get a number here, 9.88 million, or 988,0800, and you go, how do I know if that's correct? So what I do is I come down here and I highlight all of these numbers. Once I get them all highlighted, I look right down here on my status bar. You can see right below my pointer where it says 9880800. That's summing up all those cells that we were looking at, and so you know you did it right when you do it that way. Another formula that's important to us here is this one here called net profit. Now this one is going to be taking our gross sales and subtracting away these two cells here. Now we've done this formula when we looked at it last chapter, but let's look at it real life here. We're going to take our cell sales C6 and we're going to subtract away two cells that needed to be added together first before I can subtract. So I use a open parenthesis, and then I'm going to take this one, add it to this one. Now with that two added together, I can subtract it, and that gives me that cell. Real quickly, I click on that. I see my formula there. With that simple pull across, you can see that I've now gone from C's to D's. So that autofill works very well for us. Got another set of formulas here I'm going to do real quick for you. These are our sales statistics per store, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways to put in those formulas. Now we could do it the traditional typing method. I come in here, gross sales C6, and I divide that by my C23, which is the number of stores, and that gives me my gross sales per store. And that was the typing method. I could use the pointing method where I do equal. Now I'm doing cost of sales. So I click right here on cost of sales, and then I hit my divide, and then I use my pointer to click here. Now that gives me my formula really quick. Or the other way I could do it using the pointer method is not use the mouse, but go in here, operating expenses, come up here to my operating expenses, hit my divide, and then use the keyboard arrow keys to come down to here. Each way gets me what I want. I'm just going to pause this for a second so I can add in some other formulas. Now you can see those formulas were all added in real quick. I'm going to pop this into formula mode so you can see all of those formulas there. And when I highlight like this and do that simple pull across, you can see that those relative references have worked. Those relative references make it so I don't have to keep retyping the formula over and over and over. Relative references. The key to what we were looking at in this particular video was relative references. The ability for when we copy a math formula, whether we do it with copy and paste or we use that autofill, that it's going to change from the column to the next column to the next column, or from the row to the next row to the next row. So from A1 to A2 to A3, or from B1 to C1 to D1. We like that relative reference. It makes doing formulas so much easier. We saw the formula mode, which was Control tilde. Very, very useful combination of keys to jump back and forth between number mode and formula mode.